Top business stories live from the Sky News City studio. As Israel strikes back at Hamas, we'll look at what impact the war might have on Israel's acclaimed tech industry. BT and Google Cloud announce a new partnership to focus on cybersecurity innovation. We'll hear from both. Plus, responsible innovation in the age of AI will be live at Adobe's Creativity Conference in Los Angeles. Good afternoon. This is Business Live with me, Ian King. We begin with some breaking news, rather sad news it is too, from Israel, which is that a Briton who was identified as being dead in Israel has been named as Jake Marlowe. We have a statement from his parents, Lisa and Michael, and they have said, "We are heartbroken to have to inform you the crushing news that our son Jake has been confirmed dead in southern Israel. Repatriation plans are being put in place. More information will follow. Please respect our privacy at this most devastating time." Well, more now on the ongoing Israeli offensive in Gaza. Israel has called up 360,000 reservists for a potential ground offensive. Many of those reservists will be workers from the country's tech industry. It's unclear what effect the ongoing conflict will have on the tech sector and indeed on the wider Israeli economy. Well, joining me now is David Rosenberg. He's economics analyst for Haaretz in English and author of the book Israel's Technology Economy. David, welcome to you. First of all, let me ask you about the breaking news this afternoon that Israel has formed a unity government. Is that going to change policy apart from in a military sense?
I don't think it's going to have an effect on military policy. What it will do is two things. First of all, it will give much broader political backing to the government than it has now, or has had until now. Israel's been suffered severe social rifts over the judicial reform here that was promoted by the current government, and the fact that some of the opposition is joining in a national unity government will probably allay some suspicions about any of the government's political motivations in terms of military operations. The other important thing is it adds a much needed professional injection into the cabinet, on the cabinet level. The people who will be joining the war cabinet that will be conducting the war are people with a lot of military experience, includes two former chiefs of staff, and that should help on that level considerably.
I was reading your latest article, and you were saying that you think the finance ministry in Israel is being too sanguine in assuming that this is probably just going to lead to a modest slowdown in growth in this quarter.
Well, I think they had some basis for it. The history of the last 20 years, during which Israel's fought, depending on how you want to count them, maybe half a dozen wars, all have been kind of short. The economic damage has been very limited, and the economy bounced back very quickly afterwards. If this turned out to be a similar short war, that would probably be the scenario as well. So far, things are not shaping up in that way. As you mentioned, 300,000 plus reservists have been called up. That's a very, very large number for Israel. And that means that people are not reporting to their jobs, and that's going to have an effect on the economy, even in the short run. There's also, at this stage, a increasing risk that this will be a long, drawn-out war, either a long, drawn-out war in Gaza, because the land incursion will involve bitter fighting, and then probably some kind of occupation, which is an effective war. It means requiring reservists to serve extended periods. And there's the other risk that it will become a two-front war, that Israel will be fighting Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon at the same time. There have been increasing provocations by Hezbollah on the Lebanese border, and that might be the precursor to a second front.
How is the tech sector going to negotiate this situation? I mean, for those who don't know, this is massive. It accounts for about 16% of the workforce in Israel. Yeah,
it's a major part of the workforce, and it's also young workforce like the tech industry is everywhere in the world, so that, proportionally speaking, more tech workers are being called up than, say, in other industries. So there is certainly that effect. What the long-term effect, or even medium-term effect on the industry will be has yet to be seen. The global tech industry, including Israel's, has been in a prolonged slump, and with not too many signs of a recovery on the way. So it's already starting, the tech industry, that is, from a low point. And certainly a worse situation will make the recovery even harder.
You also are quite sceptical about how the Israeli finance ministry is going to finance this conflict.
Yes, exactly. Again, if it's a short war, there are ways of paying for it. It, again, doesn't look like it's shaping up to be that kind of conflict. Israel is going into this war in terms of the economy with a growing budget deficit, overspending for various reasons. And so the Treasury will not have a lot of fiscal flexibility in terms of drawing down on reserves to help pay for the costs of fighting this war. It's going to be faced with an unpleasant choice of running up a bigger budget deficit, which will be costly given the direction of interest rates right now, or raising taxes, which is, of course, never good for an economy that's struggling on other fronts.
David Rosenberg, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some other business news stories for you now. And ExxonMobil, the West's biggest oil and gas company, has agreed to buy the in the largest oil and gas deal in 2 decades. It's the biggest deal in the sector since Exxon agreed to buy Mobil for $75 billion in 1998, and confirms that ExxonMobil's fortunes will be tied to fossil fuels for decades to come. It also confirms Exxon as the biggest player in the American fracking industry, which is now centred on the Permian Basin across West Texas and New Mexico, where Pioneer has more places to drill than any other player. Following the deal, ExxonMobil will account for around 15% of total production across the Permian Basin. A company planning to compete with Eurostar in running rail services through the Channel Tunnel said today it signed a deal to buy up to 16 trains, with the aim of starting operations in 2025. Evelyn is led by Spain's industrialist family Cosman, which has a range of interests in industry, including a stake in Mobico, the transport group formerly known as National Express. Well, British and French industrial and financial partners are also backing the project. The service will be the first since Eurostar launched in November 1994 to offer competition on cross-channel rail routes. And the Competition and Markets Authority said this morning it's seeking views on the proposed merger between the mobile operators Vodafone UK and Three UK. The deal, should it go ahead, would see the combined business leapfrog EE to become the UK's biggest mobile operator. But it's come under pressure from the unions, which are concerned about the impact on jobs, while some MPs have raised concerns at Three UK's Hong Kong-based owner and its possible links to China. BT and Google Cloud have announced today that they are forging a partnership to focus on cybersecurity innovation. As part of the deal, BT will now officially sell some of Google's cloud security products. Well, joining me now, Phil Moyer, he's Global Vice President of AI Business and Solutions at Google, and Harmeen Mehta, Chief Digital and Innovation Officer at BT Group. Welcome to you both. Harmeen, let me start with you. The pair of you already collaborate across a number of areas: data, cloud migration, AI programs. How does this build on that relationship?
Actually, it builds very nicely. It's taking that to the next step. And one of the things that we've got that we've been concentrating with is building some really deep, meaningful partnerships around the world. And Google is definitely one of those. So this actually takes that partnership, deepens it a lot more. We're big consumers of GCP Cloud within BT, but we also partner up in many other areas. And now we're looking to drive much more opportunities and the go-to-market together as well. So we are doing a lot with Google. Google's doing a lot with us, and then we are doing a lot together for our customers. So it's a full 360, and that's what's the beauty about this.
Phil, you're working with a lot of other companies right now in terms of integrating AI into your offerings, General Motors being one well-known example. Put this agreement into the context of those existing deals.
We're super proud. I'm super proud to be here from Google Cloud Next in London with so many of our customers. Artificial intelligence has captured the imagination of companies and individuals, everyone from the boardroom down to the individual inside of the organization. And we could not be more proud to be a partner with BT in the security space and in the AI space. We think that AI is going to bring more productivity, more proficiency, and better job satisfaction to a whole variety of workers in the organizations.
Harmeen, tell me about how you're incorporating AI into what you do at BT. Will customers notice a difference?
I really hope they do. If I do my job well, then yes, definitely they should. But a large part of it is actually the power of this new AI is also doing it a bit more subtly as well. So it really feels a lot more intuitive, and it doesn't feel like an effort for the customer to interact with it. From from simple things to very complex things, where we're really targeting almost an audience of one and really understanding our customers very deeply. So when we are offering anything to them, we are catering to them as an individual and not just like a broad cohort or segment. I think those days are a bit passé now with the advent of new technologies. So that's where we are concentrating a large part on. Similarly, for our enterprise and business customers as well, really being able to offer much more predictable and better and sharper services, but also giving us an opportunity to bring a cohort of various different things packaged in a way that's easier for them to consume, because they're in the business of running their business and not just worrying about connectivity or security and things like that. So if we can worry about more and more of those, we can become more meaningful in the lives of these customers, whether they're individuals or consumers, or they're large enterprise and corporates, or even small enterprise and corporates, which we love working with. So I think this is really going to unlock a very different way of how companies are working internally and create a different level of satisfaction for our own colleagues, but also how we are working with our external customers as well, and create a very different ecosystem here.
Phil, obviously the excitement right now is about generative AI and large language models. What is going to be the next evolutionary step in AI?
We're spending a lot of time. Google has been an AI-first company almost from its inception, and we're really excited that the entire world is with us in this journey around artificial intelligence. For the next 2 to 3 years, a lot of what we're going to be doing is spending time to really make sure this is safe, that it's responsible, that it's accurate AI, that it doesn't give false answers, and then also that we make it very, very accessible to everyone. And so the next few years is going to be a lot about safety, accessibility, and accuracy. Over the horizon, you'll see AI as well start to work on really hard problems where you're combining together things like images and text and data simultaneously to help organizations and individuals make decisions. We call that multimodal learning and multimodal inference. And so there will be some great breakthroughs that you'll see AI continue to be innovative, but also be safe. And we call that being bold and responsible.
Harmeen, is this partnership going to result in job losses at BT?
It's not this partnership resulting in that, but it's going to lead to an evolution of different companies. It's going to lead in a different evolution of BT as well. It's actually going to enhance a large part of the productivity of the workforce that we do have. We've been over the last few weeks, we've been trying to analyze for different kind of roles where people are spending a lot of their time. And you'd be surprised, or maybe not, but a large part of the teams, they don't spend their time just in their core competency, whether it's sales or service or whatever. A large part of the time is also spent in doing many things around, which are not necessarily attributing into your productivity or even into your career or your learning, but they're just necessary things to do. So that's where we are really starting. And I think this is probably the best opportunity to bring a large part of the artificial intelligence and the human intelligence together, really create a very productive and hopefully a much happier workforce as well, because all of us derive a lot of joy from doing our work well, and that's what it's going to allow. It is going to inevitably change the profile of certain roles, but it will also create new jobs as well. I think it's just society as a whole is getting reshaped, ever so much with all the evolution of technology, and that is inevitable. But every time we've gone through such a crossroad, a different type of workload has emerged and a different type of workforce has emerged. And whether it's from us inventing something as simple as the wheel to inventing how we literally fly from one place to another and doing a lot more in aviation, or it's now in artificial intelligence. This is just part of evolution and part of being human beings.
OK, Phil, Harmin, there's so much more I wanted to ask you, but I'm afraid we're out of time. Do appreciate you joining me this afternoon, though. Thank you.
Thank you.
Still to come here on Business Live, we'll have a look at how the markets are doing this Wednesday afternoon. Stay tuned.
I'm Mark Stone and I'm Sky's correspondent based here in Washington, D.C.
Well, the plan seems to be to head to the police station where the policeman who fired the shots was based.
And everything, his memories is all gone.
I've witnessed the remarkable passion for politics here, but the anger too.
We have to get Trump out of the White House.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
You've got your political agenda.
No, it's
God,
honestly...
God love you.
And beyond the United States, I report from around the world.
This is a town that is effectively encircled by the Russians.
We take you to the heart of stories that shape our planet.
I can hear now quite a few explosions in the distance here in Jerusalem.
What do you think of ISIS?
Everybody here, they know the truth of ISIS.
It's like Emirates. It's like better. Fly Emirates. Fly better. Thank you.
Well, stocks in Europe have closed mixed this afternoon. There were trading updates from two big European names today. The luxury goods giant LVMH, France's biggest company, fell by 5.5% in Paris after reporting a slowdown in quarterly sales growth. But the Danish healthcare giant Novo Nordisk rose by 4.25% following an update on its diabetes treatment Ozempic, which was well received. Here in London, the FTSE 100 has finished in slightly negative territory, off 0.1%, led by some of the consumer stocks right now. The leading blue chip gainer fall of this afternoon was Smith & Nephew, the healthcare company, health equipment company. To the upside, Imperial Brands was among leading blue chip gainers, finished 1.5% high, nearly 1.75% in fact, after it received a push from one of the brokers. To the downside, Burberry was off 3% in sympathy with LVMH. Outside the FTSE, a lot of trading updates today. The bus and train operator First Group rose by 3.5%. That's after it raised its full-year profit outlook, while the outsourcing group Mighty rose by 3.75%. And that was for similar reasons. To the downside, Travis Perkins fell by just over 6% following a profits warning, while the staffing firm Page Group was off nearly 2.5% after it downgraded its full-year growth expectations. Over on Wall Street, the main stock indices have opened to the upside, but ExxonMobil is off 4.25% on that blockbuster deal I mentioned earlier. Meanwhile, Birkenstock has priced its shares at $46 apiece. We're still waiting for the first trades to go through. On the foreign exchange markets, US dollars slipped on some moderate producer price inflation data, off sterling up 0.1% against the greenback, unchanged against the euro. Single currency likewise up 0.1% against the dollar. As for the oil price, well, it sold off this afternoon after Saudi Arabia pledged to help stabilise the market in the event of disruption to supplies caused by events in the Middle East. A barrel of Brent crude will currently set you back $86.10 a barrel. That's down 1.75% on the session. No time for a market report commentator today, I'm afraid, but we have a line of breaking news from Israel, which is that Israel has urged its citizens in the north to shelter after hostile aircraft entered the country from Lebanon. We'll have more on that in the news hour at 5 o'clock our time. Now, as AI-generated pictures and videos become more realistic, Microsoft has decided to flag media that's been created by its search engine Bing. Its aim is to make online culture more trustworthy and transparent. At the same time, Adobe, best known for its Photoshop image editing software, has kicked off its conference, Adobe Max 2023, in Los Angeles. It's announced new AI features to be added to its raft of image editing applications with the aim of making editing easier. Well, joining me now from the event is Ashley Still, Senior Vice President of Digital Media at Adobe. Ashley, welcome to you. What sort of customers are you targeting here?
Well, first, Ian, thank you so much for having me. And I'm, again, live from Adobe Max, which is the biggest creativity conference around the globe, with about 10,000 creators and marketers, really celebrating creativity and, of course, how technology plays a role in that.
Is this going to be added to your existing subscriptions, or will customers have to pay more for these new features on top?
So we have a new family of generative AI models, and we call that Firefly. We make Firefly available in a number of ways. There's a new Firefly web app that's actually free. There's a paid offering as well, but it's a freemium business model, as well as Adobe Express, which also is freemium. And anyone with access to a web browser can create amazing content through templates or new generative AI features. And then, as you mentioned, we also make Firefly available through our professional tools, Photoshop, Illustrator, et cetera. And across all of this, we've given access to generative AI very broadly across these applications as part of our existing plans.
Ashley, while you've been talking, we've been showing the viewers some of the things that you're able to offer now. Very, very powerful stuff. But is this going to put some people out of work?
We see so much excitement from our creative community to use generative AI and Firefly features to do two things: to help them ideate and create better, more engaging, exciting work, and also to increase their productivity. The demand for content continues to explode, and actually the creators and marketers out there can't keep up with the current demands for content. So we really see this enabling people to produce the amount of content that they need versus large-scale job losses.
Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, Microsoft is now flagging AI-generated images. Do you think this is going to be an issue for you?
We actually have been developing AI for a decade, right? And obviously the advancements in generative AI in the more recent past are incredibly exciting. As part of our responsible approach to AI development, we actually started an industry standard a number of years ago that creates a nutrition label for digital content. You can think of it as a type of nutrition label. And we've been advocating for adoption of this content credentials across all digital content that we see every day to ensure this responsibility and transparency in AI. So we are very strong advocates for transparency. So we all really trust the content that we see every day.
Ashley, we do appreciate you taking time out of your busy conference to speaking to us this afternoon. It's much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
That's it from me. I'm back again with Business Live tomorrow morning at 11:30. Hope very much to see you then. In the meantime, do stay tuned. Coming up after this short break, it's the News Hour with Mark Austin in Jerusalem with more on that news that the Israeli government has warned its citizens in northern Israel to stay indoors and be careful. See you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me.